Hey, welcome to East Coast Airgunner. I'm your host, Sonic, and wanted to bring you a new series and videos showing some of my adventures in my newfound sport of airgunning. Now, if you're squeamish about seeing small vermin getting shot, hit the search button up there and hit Walt Disney, and you'll see lots of happy squirrels and living full lives. What you're not going to see is a lot of headshots and squirrels exploding and blood flying everywhere. That's just not going to happen. The premise of the show is that I'm a new air gunner living in Canada on the East Coast in Nova Scotia, and as I learn, I'll be documenting all the stuff that I'm learning. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a professional by any means. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about air guns. You're not going to see tons of reviews. I'm not going to bring a gun out every week and show it to you. It's just not going to happen. Basically, you're just going to be following me on my adventures as I learn the new sport that I've discovered called air gunning. Now, it's my goal to cast a good light on the sport of air gunning. So I want to make sure that you're following all the rules, you're as safe as possible, and you're basically just bringing a good name to the sport and not casting any bad intentions or a bad impression of the sport, because it really is fun, and it's something that I think a lot of people can enjoy. Now, primarily, I do hunting, and that's why I got into air gunning, is because I don't have my PAL, I don't have my hunting license yet, I don't have, all the stuff that's required. I don't have a shotgun or a powder burner gun, so air gunning for me was a good way to get into using rifles and being outside and getting into hunting and all that stuff. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot of hunting, and what we're going to be hunting is coyote, crow, mice, rats, English sparrows, porcupines, common pigeon or the rock dove it's called, red squirrels and chipmunks, starlings, skunk voles, moles, shrews, long-tailed shrews, gaspé, and maritime shrews. Now, you don't need a stamp, you don't need a hunting license, and you don't need a permit in order to hunt these. Now, this is done for in accordance with the Nova Scotia 2013 hunting summary, which you can see here. Here's a website link to it. Now, this is for prevention of damage to property, and you have to either own the property or you have to have permission from the landowner. And that's the premise that we hunt on, is that we get permission and we're invited to these permissible land so that we can, the landowners can get rid of pigeons on their farms and rats and stuff like that. And most of the hunting that we've been doing is on a 60-acre lot that's close by, and we have permission from the landowner who wants us to thin out his squirrel, red squirrel, and chipmunk population because they're infesting his gardens and his outbuildings on his property and stuff like that. So we're basically going into the backwoods, the 60 acres of his property, and with his permission, and doing some reduction of the red squirrel and chipmunk population. Even though these are air guns, you should still treat them with the respect they deserve. It's not a big firearm like a shotgun or even a .22 or a .308 or anything like that you would normally see for hunting. But it is still something that can hurt people. So you want to treat it with the same safety and the respect that you would with any other weapon. So, of course, never ever fire it at near houses. Never ever point in a direction of a person. You always want to keep the safety on. There's a lot of newer guns that have automatic safety. You want to make sure that that's working and the safety's always on. And always assume that your air gun is loaded, because it can do a lot of damage. It can do damage to property, it can do damage to houses, cars, and especially people, and you do not want that to happen. So you want to make sure that you keep yourself in a safe environment, in a safe situation all the time, and I cannot stress that enough. Be safe. You'll avoid a whole lot of bull crap. So I've been in the airgun hobby now for about 6 weeks, and I've been having lots of fun with it. I've only got one gun so far, and it's a Beeman Sportsman RS2 that I bought at Canadian Tire for about $170, and immediately put a scope on it. I got a Centerpoint 4032. Nothing fancy, very beginner stuff here, and but it has been a lot of fun. It's very addictive, and it's been a pretty fun experience. So what I've been doing is going online. There's lots of cool places that you can go and learn how to set your scope up, learn how to get your gun all in shape and modify it, and things like that. Now, one of the websites that I hang out on a lot is called Canadian Airgun Forums, and you can check it out on the link here. And it's a great website. There's lots of very experienced people on there, and they're really great and very helpful. So I would suggest going to that website and check it out. So for the first hunt here on East Coast Airgunner, I was dying to get out. It's been raining for days, and I was hoping to go out. I've been waiting. It's been raining for about 4 days. I went out each day, and there was a couple of times where I went out, and it started to clear up, and I could see the clouds breaking up a little bit, and then went out, started walking out to the permissible land, and as soon as I would get out into the woods, boom, the rain would pour down again. So I had to turn around and come back, but finally had a nice afternoon where I was able to go out and do some hunting. So in my research about hunting squirrels and chipmunks, I've been looking at ways that you can do some cool calls. Now, the first one that I learned was I call it the dime call, but essentially you just take two dimes and you rub them together, one on its edge, using the coarse end of the dime. Now, I found a quarter worked a little bit better because it's of a bit of a bigger thing and it resonates a little bit better. But here's a little bit of what it could sound like. Let's get it going here. Doesn't sound all that great. I got a different quarter today, but you get the idea. Sometimes you can get it positioned right where it's got that little bit of a squeak sound, and it has been working. If anything, it gets the squirrels down out of the tops of the trees, and they look around, and if anything, they're just curious. Now, being a sound guy, I do sound design for video games and stuff for a living. And what I found, I thought, well, why not go out and actually record some squirrels? So I recorded some squirrels with my recording gear here. Got a shotgun mic and a nice portable recorder, and took it out into the woods, and managed to get, not so much the woods. I just came out here to the backyard, and I got two squirrels. I got a red squirrel, and there's a gray squirrel that's living around here. And so I got the old gray squirrel here. Just on what I did is recorded it, made it an MP3, threw it on my phone, and that's pretty much what you get. And it's been working okay. I took it out on this hunt and tried it, and boy, they started chattering right away. Now, I've got another one here, the red squirrel. Sounds a little ticked off. But that hasn't been as effective as the... and it's this gray one's a better recording. There was no wind, and it was very, very quiet. So that's a technique you could use. I'm also looking into making a cutter, it's called, and basically what it is, it's the It's the sound of them eating, and what you can do with the theory is sometimes if you take a shot and there's other squirrels around, it'll freak them out. Now I just heard over here off to my right, I just heard a little squirrel poke his head up, so he's curious about the sound. So that kind of shows you how well it works. So on this hunt, I get out into the woods, and immediately I haven't been out there in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So sometimes if I go out and get a lot of squirrels, I like to give the area a chance to repopulate so that I can go back. But there's so many squirrels back there, you really don't have to do that. You can go back there pretty much any time of the day and pick off half a dozen squirrels or so. So we get out in the woods, and it's just by myself, and there are a lot of squirrels running around, and it probably took maybe about 15 minutes to get the first one sighted up, and they went to a bit of an area where they hadn't seen me before, so they had really nothing to fear, and I threw a couple of calls out, and they were coming out pretty good. I saw, they were sticking quite close together. Sometimes you have to go a couple hundred feet before you hear one squirrel, and then you might hear another one a couple hundred feet away or even farther. These guys were all kind of compacted together. I could look around and see, there's a squirrel here, there's a squirrel there, there's a squirrel there, and they're all out. They were all coming down. I was throwing these calls out on my phone, and they were all coming down out of the tops where they were feeding. You could hear the nuts dropping, and man, it was a good sight. And you basically just had to, pick your targets. So the first one I got, dropped him like a stone right out of the tree, which was great. Went over and checked them out, and it was a great vital shot. Got him in the heart and lungs. It wasn't like a headshot where they're twitching around. Very humane. The headshots are humane, but there's a little ghastly to see them, freaking out, and sometimes they'll actually jump back and forth. They're long dead, but, their body's still giving her. So it's a little traumatic sometimes to see some of that weird stuff going on. Sometimes you might spot something, cock your gun, throw your pellet in. Safety's already on this one on an automatic, so you're ready to shoot. Sometimes you may not have the opportunity, or you might miss the opportunity to what you wanted, and you might have to wait a while. You don't want to keep any fatigue going on the spring. You want to keep it relaxed as much as possible. So if you know that the shot's done, all I do is simply decock it. I just pull the barrel back down, there's no tension on it. Pull the safety off, hold it real nice and firm here on the barrel. Hit the trigger and release it slowly. Bam, I still got my pellet in the breech. And there's no pressure or tension on the spring. Just in case, always put the safety on. Always keep the safety on. So I got this first one, and it was not too bad at all. And then, pulled up on the second one, and he hopped up into a tree. Now it's hard to see on the camera, but I took a shot, and I could see him jump up. And my first initial thought was that he jumped up and then he landed into some thick brush up off the ground, and I went in looking for him, and I stirred up the trees, and I looked on the ground, couldn't find him, and I thought that I had got him, and couldn't recover his carcass, which is sad, because you lose out on that. And but then when I went and looked back at the video, I realized that he had jumped up, that I had missed. he had jumped up to the branch above and scurried off. So he lives to for another day. So that was that was quite interesting. I thought I got him, and but there was just no way that I did when I look back at the video, and it's pretty hard to see it on the video with this little crappy camera. But I did get him all riled up, but he took off. Usually after a big kill, I like to sit down and have a smoke and check the squirrel out and see how I did with him, and just see what kind of a shot I got in, and have a smoke and let things calm down again. One of my favorite things about being out in the woods is you get out there, you're going through the woods. I mean, even though you're being as quiet as you can be, you're never as quiet as you think you are. And it was you're making a little bit of noise when you get in there. All the animals and everything in the woods knows you're there, knows you're coming. So one of my favorite things to do is to go in after, either get in the woods or after I take a shot or make a kill or something like that. Let things settle down. So there's I'll pull up an old log or a stump or something like that and have a sit down, have a smoke. And you can literally hear nature coming back after you've taken your shot, or if you've made some intrusive noises at all. And that's one of my favorite times about being in the woods, is when you can hear all that. When you hear the birds coming back, you can hear the squirrels. You throw out a couple of dime calls, throw out a couple of calls on your phone or cutter calls, whatever you're using. And you can just hear nature coming back. And to me, that's one of the coolest things, because, it's this quiet acceptance from Mother Nature that, it's okay for you to be there, and that everything around you is at ease, and so that you can continue on with your hunt. So, found this nice little spot, and it had a really cool looking tree, and with lots of underbrush around it, and had some holes in it, and it looked like, to me, it looked like a red squirrel apartment building. And sure enough, it was. And one of the things that I enjoy is when you're throwing your calls out, or if you're on the hunt for a squirrel and you know that you're close. It's always neat when you know that he's within 15 or 20 feet around you somewhere, and he's up in a tree. But then all of a sudden, you just kind of stand there being real quiet. You look and you see him. He's right there in a tree, and he's just being quiet, and he's watching you. So that's what happened in this one particular apartment building, I'll call it, for red squirrels. And so I took my shot, and he jumped up, kind of blew him out of the tree, and went behind it, and I couldn't really see where he went. I had thought I had missed him. Although I thought I saw him clear the tree, so I went around back. Pretty thick, couldn't really see anything. So I thought I either missed or he was gone, or I didn't know what to think. So anyway, I came around the front and looked down on the brush, and sure enough, he was a goner. There he was dead, and had to kind of get into the brush there a little bit, and it was hard getting at him, but wound up fetching him out and grabbing his tail. Well, there's another day hunting done. At the end of the day, what a fella can take away from stuff like this is that it doesn't matter if you have a $2,000 PCP gun, or if you've got a $100 Crossman. It's really it's about the thrill of being outside, being with nature, being respectful of the woods, and as opposed to what some folks think. I'm not out there shooting everything that moves. I'm doing it on permissible lands. I'm doing it to thin out the populations of squirrels at the request of the landowner. Nothing goes to waste. And there might be some times where I'm out there all day, and I might pull the trigger 5 or 6 times. It's not you're not out there machine gunning everything that moves. That's not what it's about. You got to be respectful of the law for sure. Make sure that you are adhering to the laws of your state or your province or wherever the heck you are. Make sure that you do a lot of reading, a lot of research, ask a lot of questions about what you can hunt, when you can hunt, where you can hunt, and what you can hunt with, and always be completely safe. And it's just really about it's about the brush, and it's about the fun, and it's about the entire experience. So thanks for watching this episode of East Coast Airgunner. We'll see you next time.